Okay, so we did case 1, and now I'm going to move on to case 2, so we can build slowly. So imagine, right, based on case 1, my foire, I've decided to attach 10 pounds, and hopefully you're beginning to see where I'm going with this. You've said, okay, I'm treating this like some kind of, it's not, but you're treating it like some kind of, it's not. You're treating it like some kind of variable cost. So you're saying £10 per unit. So what do? You make 10,000 units. So you make 10,000 units, and because you're attaching this £10 to it, your income statement shows underneath fixed costs of fixed overheads, £10 times 10,000 units, which is £100,000. Now, the actual overhead is £90,000. So the actual rent was £90,000. But you made 10,000 units, and because you're using this system that we started because we're trying to absorb everything, we have attached this £10. Our income statement currently has a cost of 10,000 in there. Now, here's the thing, and I really want you to just try and focus a little here. The last year, the overhead was 90,000. 90,000, right? 90,000, the overhead last year was 90,000. That's what it was. This year, it's 90,000. Remember my very first video? Right now, it's nothing. There's no variance. There's no variance. The expenditure variance is 0. The expenditure variance. Remember, I used the word expenditure. The expenditure variance is 0. It's nothing. Now, that's just the expenditure variance. But what I'm saying is, you see, the thing is, when you're preparing your income statement, it's not that simple, really, because you see, because we do things in foire, we now have foire coming in, and sort of saying, well, actually, when I prepared the income statement, I used foire. That's what's showing in my income statement right now. And you're thinking, but no, that's what the actual overhead is. So there is a variance right now. And this variance, if you can imagine, is purely, 100% purely due to volume. It's just because you made more and you've attached a foire to it. So what you now have is a £10,000 difference based on the extra 1,000 units. Because you see, when you were here, when you stopped at 9,000 units and you were using £10, you got to 90,000. Everybody was happy. It matched what actually happened. But as soon as you made another 1,000 units, you suddenly had this weird extra 10,000 coming to your income statement. But we know that we're talking about fixed costs. They're not based on volume. So what do? We then say, well, you need to adjust, or if you like, you need to adjust your income statement to bring it back to what actually happened. Remember, we did that earlier on, some time ago? So what we then do is adjust your income statement. But because we're adjusting the income statement, we are reducing the income statement by £10,000. And because we're reducing a cost by £10,000, we refer to this, because we're reducing a cost, it's a favorable variance. We say it's a favorable variance because we're reducing the cost. Now, here's the thing. I mean, if I actually said to you, well, what is the actual foire? Well, the actual foire is actually really £90,000, which was the actual overhead, divided by 10,000 units. The actual foire was actually £9 per unit. That's the actual foire. You budgeted £10, and that's what you put in. So your cost is actually, I mean, I'm looking at it from both angles. You can say, okay, that's the actual foire, £9. That's the budgeted for £10. Well, it's fallen. It's gone from 10 to 9. That is favorable. So what am I saying? The more units you make, the variance becomes favorable when you adjust, right? So this 10,000 here is purely due. I mean, let's look at it. Let me just create another. Let me just do this thing I did over here. Now, this is why I drew the diagram for you so you can see what happened here. You had 9,000 is what you were basing it on. So the argument was coming from case one, I'll keep saying that. I expected that if it was just 9,000 units I made, you know, £10, that's where it will stop. It'll be fine. It'll look exactly the same. But you've gone ahead and you've made an extra 1,000 units, and you've made therefore 10,000 units. So your variance is purely due to this, and this is the volume variance, right? So your volume variance, if you like, is 10,000 pounds. The variance, if you like, the total variance is 10,000. Yes, it's 10,000, the total variance. And all of this total variance is due to a volume variance of 10,000 pounds and an expenditure variance of 0. There is no price variance. See, look, right here, right now, there's no price variance. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. So what I'm doing here is taking you from two angles. I'm almost telling you, you could find expenditure variance without any of the analysis I've just done by comparing budgeted and actual. Done. Or let's just look at this based as though we're looking at FOIR and we're looking at volumes. We have a volume variance, and in this scenario, we don't have a price variance. There was no price change. The variance was purely due to the volume change. Right. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do I can't do that just yet. That's fine. What I'll do is I'll do the next case and we'll do a few questions in the textbook. But you can see what I've done here in case 2 is to focus strictly on volume with no price change, with no expenditure variance. Right? And in the earlier one, I literally just we had no volume. In case 1, we had no volume change and we had no price change. Now we've had volume change. So I'm telling you that we can strip out volume change, focus on volume. What's the difference in volume? Actual volume minus, if you like, budgeted volume. And then we can find the volume variance based on that. Right? Okay, great stuff. See you in the next video.